Welcome back, everyone. Last time we did a lot of catching, and we're. I feel like I'm ready to take on Koga, but I just want to clear out the route beneath us first, and then after that we'll take on Koga. A lot to talk about today. I feel like if I can get these three to level 35, or I guess these four to level 35, I'll feel really safe in fighting Koga. A lot to talk about today. I'm not really sure where to start, but I guess All In is the biggest one, and it's still fresh on my mind. So just thoughts in general about All In is that I really enjoyed being able to wake up at like 9:30 a.m. and then watch a pay-per-view, and then have it be done by like, what was it, 2 o'clock, I think. Just felt great to do. I missed most of the pre-show, which means that I missed the Jamie Hayter stuff, which was... It's one of the most confusing decisions of the whole show to me, because at this point, Jamie's been gone for, what, a year? No, over a year, because she missed last year's All In, too. And she's on the pre-show when fans are still filing into the arena? Like, that's such a bizarre decision to me. But I missed the pre-show, just because I was sleeping. Don't really plan on going back for it. I saw the Jamie hit a return on Twitter, and that's about all I needed, honestly, from the pre-show. So, starts with the ladder match. I didn't really care about the ladder match. It just felt like I don't care about the trios titles. I didn't care for the storyline heading in of the Bullet Club, or whatever they're calling themselves now, getting robbed of their titles and having them given to the patriarchy. I don't know, it just felt weird, but the match was okay. What I don't get is this whole Luchasaurus storyline. It's been going on forever, and that was the moment to pay it off, and they just didn't. So is the payoff now going to be when Christian challenges for the title? And that's when Luchasaurus finally snaps. And we've done this storyline twice this year, with Christian having a cash-in anytime he wants. So, I don't know. It feels really weird. But yeah, that was the ladder match for me. I missed the Von Erichs match. I missed the six-man, the mixed tag match. I missed the other match that I don't even know what that was. The one thing that I'm very not even iffy. I just didn't like it about the ladder match, is that Pac should have been in a singles title match. He missed last year because of injury, and this was the chance to like really redeem him. And they went for the trios title, and I just feel like there's like 20 fucking singles titles in AEW. Why not just give him one of those? We could have had Pac versus Okada, you know? It just feels like there was so much that could have been done, and then instead he's in the trios division that just never feels like it matters. It is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It just... I didn't really care about the match. It just felt thrown together. I don't care about the trios division because it just feels like it was the House of Black for the longest time, and then it's teams that aren't the House of Black. It's got the same issue that the tag title scene does, where it's just like, man, you gotta move on from these teams. I guess we just do a Dragon Rage. Sucker Punch. But yes, I don't know. I guess the right team won. I mean, House of Black lost the title not too long ago, I think. I don't know how long it's been, but they lost the titles, so I guess I don't need to see it on them anytime soon. So I guess House of Black was the way to go. Mariah May and Toni Storm, great match. Really enjoyed it. I'm not sure where Toni Storm's character goes after this. I kind of hope this is the natural conclusion of that character. Um, it's one of those characters that I just feel outstayed its welcome, and I'm ready to move on from it. The one thing that I'm very confused about in the match was Mariah May slapping her mom. It just felt like such a bizarre move. Like, yeah, she's the heel, but did the audience know that was her mom? Like, did the audience in the arena know that was her mom and that she slapped her mom? Or did they just think she slapped some random person? It just felt weird. I don't know. I was hoping that, you know, she'd have this nice moment when winning title with her mom. Instead, it was a slap, and then her mom finds comfort in Tony. Overall, really enjoyed that match. I feel like it should have been later in the card, and maybe switch places with another match that was on the card. You know, another women's match that was on the card, another women's title match that was on the card. You know, a match that wasn't good, but we'll get to that later. Hook beat Chris Jericho, and who gives a fuck? Like, no offense to Hook, but homie's in the exact same position he was last year. I would argue he's even worse off because he's like in the Jericho vortex. Jericho made those comments a couple days ago about he has no plans to retire, and you know he's not gonna listen to the fans, and I mean it's exhausting, man. This was a dude who was one of my favorites growing up, and just seeing the person he is outside the ring has really diminished his status to me, and just the way that his entire AEW run has just been him leeching off younger talent. I can't even say helping. I'm sure that there's some people who would say help, but Sammy Guevara is not any better off. Daniel Garcia is not any better off. I don't remember what their tag team name is. Daddy Magic 2.0? Was that their NXT name? Whatever their name, like, they're not better off. It just feels like no one came out of that storyline better. The learning tree stuff sucks. I want Jericho to ride off into the distance, and it's long past the opportunity for it to be good. But yeah, Hook won. I kind of just didn't give a shit about that match. It just felt like a match that shouldn't have been on the card. Like it baffles me that Okada and Hangman didn't have a singles match on this card, but Hook did, and Jericho did for the FTW title. You know, it just I couldn't even get excited for Taz locking in the Taz mission because he couldn't. Like he went for it, and if you look, like his arms are just in the wrong spots. And is it just he's old? Is he too stiff? Was it just bad positioning? But I don't know. The three-way tag match. I don't know, man. This match, I didn't have an issue with it in terms of in-ring. Like, it was a fine match, but again, I didn't care because it's the same three tag teams that have been dominating the division for the past 5 years. And I don't know, like, there has to be some other tag team that they can push. They could have made, I mean, I guess you make it a four-way, you kind of clash with the trios match. But I don't know, man. That tag division needs a shot in the arm. And then the Grizzled Young Vets came out, and I was like, oh, I don't give a shit about these guys either. So I guess it's kind of hypocritical because I just said they need a new tag team, and then they got one, and I didn't give a fuck. But the crowd didn't seem to give a fuck either, so I don't know. There's got to be, like, how long have they had Private Party as a team they could have been building up? And just they didn't for some reason. I also don't get why the Bucks won. It should have just been should have been the Scissors, you know. That seemed like the way to go, you know. And then they didn't, and I don't know. It just, unless they're gonna go for singles runs. I'm also kind of over Max Caster's stick, so I don't know. I kind of just hope he gets a new gimmick, and a singles run might be good for them. You don't even have to break them up. You don't have to say like, oh, we're not homies anymore, or whatever. Just say, hey, we want to go our separate ways and try things in the singles division, and that's all you got to do. You know? Yeah, I don't know. Just I need new teams in the tag division. I need new teams in the trios division, or better yet, let's just get rid of the trios division and shove all those people into the tag division. I don't know. Seems like that might be most beneficial. I think I missed the Battle Royal. Battle Royal was fun. I'm still not... I don't like the rule set for the match where it can end at any time. I know it's unpredictable in that manner, but if you're going to offer, you know, a 21-man person match, I feel like you should guarantee that they're going to see all 21 people. And instead it's like, nah, you know, you could win the match at number 2. I had nothing wrong with this match up until the end. I was enjoying it. Nigel McGuinness coming in. It's a dark type, goddammit. Nigel McGuinness coming in was a big surprise. And, you know, a little stiff at first, but as the match went on, he was getting into it and he was going. So that was exciting to see. But yeah, the Nigel stuff was great. The Nigel and Zack Sabre Jr. stuff was really cool. I want to see more of Nigel. I hope that this wasn't like a one-time thing. Ideally, you know, we see him against Bryan. I like the meme that's going around that Mariah May's kiss healed him. But yeah, that was cool to see, and it, you know, he deserves a good way to go out. That's part of the issue I have with the match, or at least the result. Was it? You had a lot of cool stuff going on. Ricochet's debut, Nido King. Oh shit. I mean, Water Pulse should be able to take care of that. Ricochet showing up was cool. I mean, it was expected, you know, because it got leaked that all he signed. Can you imagine if that wasn't leaked? If it was still up in the air? If it wasn't for Dirt Sheets being like, oh hey, this cool surprise that's gonna happen this weekend, here's what's gonna happen. Like, what if we just stopped doing that? And I'll have more talk about spoilers later, because the fucking Jujutsu Kaisen fan base this week, fucking crazy, bro. But yeah, so, you know, Ricochet debuted, had some cool stuff going on. I feel like the obvious match is an Ospreay rematch, right? I gotta be real, I was not a fan of the original Ospreay Ricochet match. I feel like that's patient zero for a lot of what I don't like about wrestling. And when they're not going over the top and doing the superhero pose, I think they're great. But when they do that kind of stuff, it just takes me out of the match, and it's so choreographed and overproduced that I hate it. I hate it with a passion. So I'm hoping they rein that in a little bit, but I'm excited to see what Ricochet does in AEW. But yeah, so like I was talking about, the ending of the match. Again, it's a continuation of this will he, won't he with Luchasaurus in terms of breaking free of Christian. That was the moment to do it. I don't necessarily think that he should be winning a normal contenders match, but that was the moment to do it. And overall, my biggest issue with it is that you introduced two interesting ideas in that match. You reintroduced the idea of Hangman and Swerve. You know, just the idea of, oh, so even if Swerve wins, you know, Hangman can cash in immediately afterwards and take this big moment at Wembley. And the other idea was Nigel, where it's like, okay, well, what if Nigel wins this match and then screws over Bryan in the end? You know, you can vacate the title next night. That doesn't matter. He just wants one last fuck you to Bryan. You know, and then there's like Okada. What if Okada wins and challenges for the title? 3 very interesting scenarios, and then we don't get none of them because we get Christian. And I mean, no disrespect to Christian, but if this is Bryan's last hurrah, I want matches he's never had before. I want dream opponents only. You know, I want to see this man put on the greatest final year of any career possible. You know, and And I don't know if that's Christian at this point in time. Um, so yeah, I don't. The whole match, I was enjoying it, and then the ending happened, and I just felt so deflated. Yeah, I don't know. It just very confusing to me. Ospreay and MJF. I feel like Ospreay did a hell of a job carrying MJF to a watchable match again. I wasn't a fan of their hour-long match just because, to me, it kind of left this match with nowhere to go. We all knew the finish was going to be the Tiger Driver. And I don't think I needed an hour-long match to build up to that. I'm really just over MJF. This American heel stuff is got to be some of the most boring work of his career. The whole promo on Collision felt like I don't know how to describe it. It just felt sad. The whole promo was just Ospreay dunking on him. It was embarrassing. And then all MJF had at the end was a joke about Ospreay's wife and kid. And it just felt like, man, that's so uninspired. I hate his wink wink at the camera, aren't I being a cool heel kind of promos. But his regular heel promos just aren't good to me either. So I'm just over MJF. Overall, good match. It did not need the Garcia interference. Just have Ospreay win clean with the Tiger Driver. I don't really know why we needed that outside of, oh, here's a spot where Ospreay might lose. And my biggest issue with it is that they did the same spot in that match and the title match. What was it SummerSlam? Where like 4 matches ended in interference. And it just felt like, hey, that's a lot of interference. I would have preferred a lot of clean wins. And then AEW had almost the same issue tonight. Let me just think. So Mariah May introduced the title and the shoe into the match. There were low blows. Young Bucks match was just, it was a Young Bucks match. Ospreay vs. MJF had the Garcia finish. Casket match for Perry and Darby, which was clean, I guess, as far as a casket match can be clean. And then I'll get to Bryan and Swerve later, but yeah, every match felt like it had something going on where it wasn't clean, and SummerSlam did that too, and I need clean victories every now and then. But yeah, the match was okay. I think they should have saved the hour-long one for Wembley. I don't know if I would have wanted an hour-long match on this show, but it doesn't make sense to me to do the hour-long match on Dynamite and then not follow that up properly at Wembley with the... You're only left with so much to grow after that hour-long match. But yeah, next up was the TBS title match. That was dog shit. I've never been a fan of Britt Baker. I liked Mercedes in WWE. I liked her first couple matches in when she was in New Japan for like the 2 matches that she did. I think her match with Willow was good, and her match with Stephanie was good. And this match was just shit from beginning to end. I think the whole program was really shit from beginning to end. I didn't care for Britt. I thought the whole concept of you need to cue these people to chanting CEO was funny because I'm the DMD, and then she cues the fans to chant DMD, and I was like, well, what are we doing here, bro? What are we doing here? I didn't want to use Mudsdale for all these matches, but he's just kind of there, I guess. I don't know. I didn't give a shit about the match. It seemed like neither of them gave a shit about the match either. But yeah, so that match happened. The Darby versus Jungle Boy match. Good match. I just think the wrong man won. Especially since Darby is your number 1 contender. I'm not really sure why you just had your number 1 contender lose like this. You probably shouldn't have put your number 1 contender in a title match for a mid-card title. Honestly, that's probably what should have happened. But good match overall. It was cool to see Sting again. In my head, I was like, oh, we just saw Sting, right? Like, he just retired. And I realized it's been like 6 months, which is insane to think about. Oh, it's not a double match? That's lame. But yeah, seeing Sting was cool. Overall, that match was solid. And then the main event. I can't say 10 out of 10 because of the ending. I didn't like that Hangman interfered. It was predictable, but I didn't care because it was predictable. It just felt like I've waited at this point 3 years to see Bryan win the AEW title, and then it finally happens because of interference. It bugged me a little bit, but match started off kind of slow, which I've come to expect, but it was kind of hard to swallow at the same time because Bryan's had these matches with Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. and Okada for the past year. And I like Swerve, but you know, he's not on their level when it comes to a lot of that stuff, and it was just a slower match than I would have preferred, but you know, it was still a good match. There's this thing that Bryan Danielson can do that I feel like no one else really can, and that's that he can make me believe. And that motherfucker made me believe. There were so many times towards the end of that match where I thought, fuck, dude, this is over. He's retiring. And then he would kick out, and I was just like, oh, you son of a bitch, you got me. You know, but yeah, I was at Revolution when he fought MJF for the title, and I was so devastated when he lost. Like, it just... That fucker, he went his entire AEW run up to that point without using the yes chant. And then he finally brings it back, and then he loses. That clever son of a bitch. He gets it, you know, he fucking gets it. But yeah, there were so many moments in this match where I just thought, is it gonna happen today? Like, is he finally gonna do this? And just so many times where it was so easy to think, oh, it's over. But what makes my boy Bryan Danielson the absolute GOAT, sucker punch, is that he brought his kids there so that he could bleed in front of them, so he could get his ass beat in front of them. Like, he traumatized his kids for the love of the game. Do you understand how fucking amazing that is? He said, Birdie, buddy, enjoy therapy. And then he put on one of the greatest matches of all time. I love Bryan Danielson, man. Just hopped out of my seat when he won the title today. Again, my only issue with it was the Hangman interference, because just I've waited years to see this moment from Bryan in AEW, and it should have been clean. But it pushes the Swerve feud. It protects him. It helps sell how beat up Bryan was, that he needed the interference. I get it. I just don't agree with it. Do I keep you in first? I feel like we could put in Big Match John over here. Overall, I thought the show was really great. I don't know if it was as solid as last year's All In. I have a lot of issues with last year's All In, but you know, between Punk Joe and Omega Ospreay, or no, it was Ospreay Jericho. You know what? Maybe last year was as good as I remember. Well, there was the Swerve and Darby and Sting match. I feel like there was a lot more that happened at last year's, so maybe I'm just ignoring the bad matches. I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted now. Think about it. I think that the highs are really high this year, but the lows are really low. Like that Mercedes Britt match might be one of the worst matches in AEW's history. You know, but on the other opposite end, you got Bryan and Swerve. You know, so it's hard to say. I enjoyed the show overall. Just a couple things that left me confused, and just I don't get it. You know, why Christian? You know, like, there were so many possibilities in that match, and we just didn't go with any of them. I hope MJF goes away for a while. Like give me another vacation from MJF. But I'm excited to see what Bryan does with his title run. And I know it's unrealistic because we don't know Kenny's status, but I need to see that rematch. I need to see Kenny and Bryan do it again. You know, I want to see Nigel and Bryan as well. I feel like that match for a world title needs to happen. Other than that, you know, whatever we need, just do whatever you need. I know my boy Tanahashi can't walk anymore, but give him Bryan. You know, give me that match. But yeah, overall good show. Some decisions that I'm not entirely sure I understand. Some things I wish were changed in terms of interference, but overall enjoyed the show. Looking forward to Wednesday. In terms of Alestrals, my Daybreak stuff came in. I did the unboxing. I wasn't aware that's how I forgot what they're called, like the reverse rares or whatever they're called. I'm not a fan of them. I much prefer getting 2 full arts in a box, or you know, something actually rare in there. I just felt like, oh, that was lame. But at the same time, I can't complain because I got everything that I needed out of that box outside of Spectrus, which I was hoping to pull 2 more of because I bought the deck and just need 2 more copies. To me, that's a card that just sounds busted. Reminds me a lot of Blade Knight and Yu-Gi-Oh! And I feel like I feel like Lestral's in a state right now where that power level is perfect. So I was hoping to get 2, but I gotta buy them off the Discord now. Other than that, I pulled everything I needed, and I also pulled almost doubles of everything, so I can have extra copies for Justin, because I don't think he bought this set. So it's cool, because in Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't really have that because of the rarity bumps. I don't think I've ever walked away from a Yu-Gi-Oh! Box going like, yeah, I got everything I need. I'm always like, alright, I got lucky with like 1 or 2 packs, and I gotta buy the rest off TCG player. So with the Lestrals, it was nice to just have everything I needed in the box. I'm excited to see what comes of this format. Celeste Leo is a really cool Pokemon. Celeste Leo is a really cool Estral, and I'm really excited to play with that deck. But there are some other stuff in there that I was looking at, like, oh, this could be interesting. I got some fire support, which I don't have a lot of the fire Lestrals, but I feel like they'd be pretty easy to get. I forget the name, but it's a Rumuru or something. It's a solar Celestial, and its effect is that if it attacks or something, like your opponent has to mill 3 cards. That just sounds like fun to me. So I'm gonna try to build something for that. There's some Earth Celestials in there. I don't have the stuff for the poison tip. Like, is it Wasp Ivy or Ivy Wasp or whatever? So I'm not gonna really be leaking that, I think, but I got stuff for solar. I got some other stuff planned, just looking at the cards. So there'll be some Celestials content in the future, and I'm excited to see where that goes, especially now that the team stats dropped and I have enough to hand over to Justin so we can do some testing. Hopefully, I have some free time to enter the tournaments, and hopefully some locals open up around here. Yu-Gi-Oh! News. Still no ban list. I'm hoping that by the time I upload this tomorrow, so on Monday, that there's a ban list, because I can't do this shit no more, man. Like, I hate so much about the game, and I know that Azamina's coming out in like a month or 2, and that's a whole problem on its own. But like yesterday in testing, we found out you could activate the Azamina spell, and then you could chain Wanted and then tribute the Wanted. And to me, that's insane. You know, I get a free search, I get a free Omni Negate, like, just completely busted interaction. But yeah, we need a ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh! Desperately. I finally think the weather's calming down, so I can get back to recording much stuff, so I'm gonna try to have the Karakuri deck profile up in the next week or 2. Um, After that, I gotta figure out what deck I want to do for Tengu Plant. I don't know how long I really want that series to go on. I know there's other decks I want to cover, but I don't know if I have all the cards I need for it. You know, and you know, money's always an issue, so we'll see if I can justify spending the money on more Tengu Plant stuff right now. Let's heal everyone up. I don't like that I'm using super potions here, but I forgot to buy regular potions. I downloaded the app for the One Piece card game. I just haven't sat down to start it yet. I'm just not sure how I want to do it yet, because I want to record my progress with that game. But what I'm debating is if there's a way for me to run the app on my computer. I mean, I'm sure I can, but do I record that, or do I just hop in and then make like a little tutorial afterwards? So I don't know. I'll figure that part out over the next couple of days. This last week was just super busy. Meetings, back to school night, class. Just it was a long week, you know. So this week's a little more open, and I can get to taking care of stuff that I've been wanting to do. I'm gonna try to hop into some Pokemon TCD2. I think that if I just do those 4 Yu-Gi-Oh, Lestrals, Pokemon, and One Piece, I'll be cool. I don't see myself playing Magic. I've just never been a fan of the art style. I'm not saying it's bad. It just doesn't appeal to me. I know Digimon's supposedly good right now, but I just can't really interest any of my friends in Digimon. So that's kind of the big thing is we love Digimon. I don't think they care about the Digimon card game, you know. Maybe if I get into it I can change that, but I don't know. It's just a hard sale to think about juggling 4 card games. And I know that there was a whole discourse this last week over how cheap it was to get into the Digimon card or Pokemon card game. But if I'm putting $100 into a Pokemon deck and then $100 into a One Piece deck, you know, I just spent a good chunk on Lestrals, and then I gotta pick up whatever I need for Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm still missing some White Forest stuff. I gotta pick up all Centurion stuff again because I sold it all off because I thought the deck wasn't gonna be good, and then like a week later they announced the new Synchro, and I was like, fuck. And that's just money. That's just a shit ton of money. So, you know, I feel like those 4 are enough. I don't need to go inserting Digimon. I might even just be like sim only for a while on One Piece of Pokemon, but we'll see. So House of the Dragon finished up episode 8. I talked about it a little bit last week, or I talked about it a lot last week, but to me this show really picked up when they did the time skip and the actresses switched. It just felt like the plot kicked in out of nowhere. I'm really enjoying how shitty everyone is in the show. Like, everyone's an asshole. But at the same time, I need myself a start to, you know, be the good guy. I genuinely just need someone to come in and be like, hey, I'm not a shitty person. You know, they could still be flawed. But goddamn, these people are all assholes. These Targaryens, they're kind of pieces of shit to each other. A lot of deaths I wasn't expecting as early as they happened. But by far, my favorite scene in the whole show now is, I don't know their names. I forgot their names. But when they're in the pit and little Targaryen dude steals the dragon and then his cousins all confront him and they just fucking 4v1 this fucker and they're just beating the shit out of him. That was the funniest shit to me. And then he pulls up the rock and then they fucking throw sand in his eyes and fuck up his eye. Like, goddamn, that whole scene was fucking funny to me. It reminded me of the Fight Back meme. Oh man, that scene was amazing. But yeah, I really have been enjoying it since Time Jump. The guy who plays the king, I forgot his name, Patty, I think. That dude's great. Like, it took me a while to come around on the King, but his performances were always good, and he sold the hell out of the aging. Like, watching this dude become old as fuck, like, he nailed it every time. So that was great. His performance when he's like old and has no eyeball and shit, I was like, damn, dude, this dude's good. Like, I don't think he's my favorite character. I feel like that's still Damon. Just because when he shows up, the plot happens, you know. Not really sure I'm vibing on the whole Damon and Rihanna romance, but they're Targaryens, so I guess that's just how they do it, you know. But yeah, once I saw that scene of them 4v1ing the little Targaryen boy, I was fucking dying. Like, I'll watch the rest of the show. I've heard season 2 isn't as good, but I don't give a fuck if I have the scene that made the show for me now, you know. In Game of Thrones, it was Ned's death that got me hooked. In House of the Dragon, it was that Targaryen boy getting fucked up. Like, that shit got me. But yeah, I haven't had any progress in the book this week, which bummed me out, but it was just a busy week. I'm gonna try to get back to that the next day or two, maybe even tonight, honestly. There's some stuff I have planned, but I'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, and not really Jujutsu Kaisen itself, but the fan base. I started watching the anime when it was around episode 8, I think. Whenever their first like big season break was, that's when I started watching it. So I came in, I think at the end of the Cursed Womb arc, and I fell in love with the show. And then I was watching it week by week as it aired through season 1, and I read the manga, caught up to the manga, and I think Shibuya had just finished, but I marathoned Shibuya in like a single night because I couldn't put it down. But I made the choice to read the manga because I was like, yeah, I can't get spoiled on this. I know I'm gonna get spoiled on this if I don't catch up. And I was right, because the manga fan base, they don't give a fuck, dude. And it's not even like they'll put spoilers, you know, after official release. They'll do it off the leaks, and that shit's insane to me, because this problem kind of exists too in the One Piece community, but I feel like they're a little more respectful about it. Because I still go on Twitter and it's like, here's a leak of One Piece leaks. But it's just a list of the script, and it's easy to ignore, and I can't read the small print unless I click on the image, you know? But with JJK, like, the fuckers are posting full-on scans, and it's like these god-awful, low-quality, crispy-ass looking scans, and it's just, oh, here's a major spoiler. And I have to talk about spoiler, so if you're not caught up, skip ahead like 5 minutes, you know? But are you gone yet? Last warning. Okay, so Nobara's alive, you know, which is great. I love Nobara. I was devastated, you know, when she went down. Do I get rid of anything for Hayes? Maybe Doll Eyes? No, Doll Eyes seems like it's more useful. And I have some issues with the way that Nobara came back. Just in terms of, like, it's super last minute, and the whole thing of, like, oh, she woke up 30 minutes ago. Like, we could have had her wake up at any point in the past 2 weeks and just say, like, oh, she's been training. She woke up and she's okay, and we've been making sure she's okay, but we're in a situation now where we have no choice and she has to hit the field. There are better ways to handle it than she woke up 15 minutes ago, you know? I'm happy that she's back. Very emotional moment. I thought it was funny how it came a week after everyone was starting to gaslight the fanbase and be like, how was it obvious she wasn't dead, ignoring all the clues that were placed in that she was alive, you know? Like, my biggest thing is one of the first major arcs in Jujutsu Kaisen is Yuji dying, and then Gojo being like, "Hey, we're not gonna tell anyone you're alive because we want to have the advantage going into the games," you know. And then, to me, like, that was the biggest reason I was like, "No, I think Nobara's alive," is because they're holding on to the surprise, so that they have this advantage over whatever happens in the Culling game. And then as the story progresses, we have scenes like Toto and the incest lady talking, and she's like, "Yeah, we can't tell Itadori about our plan." And he's like, "Why?" She's like, "Well, he's kind of linked to Sukuna in a way that if we tell him our plans, you know, Sukuna might find out about them." And I was like, "Okay, makes perfect sense. Now I know why, you know, why he wouldn't say about Nobara." Because that's the thing, Megumi never said like yes or no. He just stayed silent and let Yuji infer the rest. You know, to me that was like, yeah, she's alive. So to me, it makes perfect sense to see her at the end. But just the whole like, oh, she woke up 30 minutes ago, like that kind of felt silly to me. I'm not gonna try to spoil anything else, but I'm going to talk about it because we're told there's only 5 chapters left, and to me that's insane. I feel like is it Gege? Is it Gigi? That boy Gege? I don't know what happened with this last arc, man. The first few arcs, beautiful. You know, the games between the schools, Curse Womb, fantastic. Shibuya, fucking masterpiece. Cooling game started off strong, and then it just went on forever. And then we get to the Sukuna fight, and here's what my base issue is that the entirety of the Cooling games was based around bringing Gojo back. It was about freeing Gojo. So they finally managed to get to... no, not even that. We have to go back a little bit. We have Megumi, whose entire goal for the whole series has been seeing his sister, reuniting with his sister, and making sure that she's okay, she's healthy, she's awake. She wakes up off-panel. Megumi reunites with her off-panel. And the first time we see her, like, she immediately just betrays everyone. And it just felt like such a cheap cop-out, because it was like, nah, this was his whole motivation. Why was that off-screened? So already I had, like, a big issue with it. Oh, shit. I only got takedown. I gotta switch out. So that was already an issue I was having. But then we get into the Gojo battle. Like, we skipped 2 weeks, right? I think it's 2 weeks. We skipped like 2 weeks, and that's 2 weeks that I think we desperately needed. Because since the Cooling game arc started, these characters have not had a chance to breathe. Like, every moment has been spent fighting or running, just dealing with some kind of threat. And they finally freed Gojo, and it's like, hey, we're gonna meet in X amount of time, and we're gonna fight Sukuna. You know, let me set the date for December 24th. I feel like we needed that time. We needed to see that time, and I don't need it to be the training, because I think the reason he didn't show it was because he wanted to do those flashback scenes where it's like, oh, here's a conversation we had in private. You know, that's gonna spoil something that happens. Just don't show those scenes. Just show scenes like to me, the perfect example is, and I'm not sure if this is filler or not, but the Goku relaxing episode before the Cell games, the one where he's just chilling and they're trying to maintain their Super Saiyan status, and Krillin throws a rock at Goku and the rock hurts Goku. Like, I need an episode like that, or a chapter like that for JJK. I need a chapter where they were just relaxing, and they kind of just went, hey, tomorrow we're fucked. You know, but for today, let's just enjoy our company. Let's enjoy the people that are still alive while they're alive. You know, just have some kind of fun with them. Have a moment where Yuji's alone. He's just like, man, all this pressure's on Gojo. You know, and they have a heart-to-heart. Instead, we just skipped to Gojo dying, and it was like, man, we just got him back. You know, for, at this point, what, 2 or 3 years? Like, 3 years, right? The whole plot was, we need to get Gojo back. And then they finally get him back, and he immediately rushed to his death. and I just felt like that was so lame. Like, we needed more time with everyone. But yeah, so like that's one of my biggest issues with JJK. It's just it felt rushed, and then we get to the Sukuna fight, and it's just been a year of Sukuna beating up fodder and killing characters, and every chapter ends the same way, where it's the binding vow. Oh, psych! I had another binding vow. Oh, remember that binding vow I had? Well, that binding vow gave me 4 arms, and then I sacrificed one of my arms for another binding vow. Like, it all felt like bullshit. And that's been the past year, and then it's like, hey, 5 chapters left, here's a big twist, I gotta wrap up everything. And I just feel like we could have used the past year for character development and to just breathe a little bit. So I'm super conflicted on it. It's not that I don't trust Gege to finish things up in a satisfying manner. It's that for the past year, he's not doing things in a satisfying manner. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping for the best, but I don't know. You know, I don't know. But yeah, the Acolyte finished up and got canceled. I talked about it in previous episodes. I wasn't really a fan of it. I just felt like all the characters were written to be stupid at all times. To advance the plot, and I'm kind of conflicted on it because on one hand, I didn't enjoy the series. I just didn't. It wasn't for me, and I watched the whole thing hoping that it got better, that it set something cool up. But at the end of it, I just felt like Darth Plagueis is a super important part of the Star Wars mythos, and I don't really trust these writers to do that storyline justice, you know. But I liked Soul. I liked the stranger. I forget his name. Kamir. Like, I like those two. I didn't care for anyone else on the show. And to me, one of the biggest issues with the show is that it ends with the Green Lady being like the focus character, where we're gonna see more of her. But I never gave a shit about her. Everything she did was boring. Like, she just had like no presence on the stage, and I'm not blaming the actress. I'm blaming the director on this one. It just, she never had any ounce of charisma on screen. There was never a point where I cared about her mystery. They even were like, oh yeah, you know, she's the old master for the stranger or whatever. And I was like, I don't give a shit, dude. And then they killed Soul, and I was like, oh, Soul was my dude. Like, he was the driving force of the show. He was hard carrying, and without him, I didn't give a shit. So I don't know, like, I'm on the side that I don't care that it got canceled. Tapu Bulu, what the fuck? I'm on the side that, like, I don't care that it got canceled. I totally get the side that's crying and saying, hey, you know, this show made me care about Star Wars, or this show was like made for me or whatever. And I get it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man. If I don't know. I don't care, because to me it's like, yeah, this was a part of the franchise that was handling something important and just failed due to bad writing. You know, so for me, it's like, yeah, if the show has bad writing, it kind of deserves to die off, so something better has a chance to take care of it. You know? And but at the same time, it's like, I get that you felt representation in this universe for, I guess, the first time. But wouldn't you rather be represented by a good show? I don't know. It just feels like it's one of those shows that... And I know it's Star Wars. I know it's always been political. But it feels like it became political in the wrong way, where it became... Instead of it being a message of like, hey, look at these Nazis and how evil they are, it became, hey, if you like this show, you're this, and if you don't like the show, you're a bigot, you know? And it was just like, I didn't like the writing, man. I thought it was kind of weak, and I'm hoping I bump into more Autonos here. But it's just so crazy seeing the discourse, and I feel bad for the people that like the show, because some of the shit they're getting, especially like the lead actress for the show, that's just insane, dude. Like the whole right wing side of Star Wars is, it's such a tragedy that shit exists. Like I don't understand how you could be a fan of Star Wars and still be a right wing chud. Like did you not understand the entire point of the original trilogy? Like, do you not understand that you're the bad guys? But yeah, just like I don't know, man. It's insane the amount of hate that they have because it started a black actress, or because there were more predominant females casted. Like I don't. It's weird to me. Like I just don't get how you get like that outside of just being poorly educated and probably inbred. But yeah, I feel for the people that enjoyed the show and it got canceled, but at the same time, as someone who was disappointed in it and just did not trust those writers, I'm happy it got canceled because it gives someone else a chance to tell that story, but do it justice. But I don't know. We'll see where Star Wars is, because like Book of Boba Fett sucked. I like season 3 of Mando, but I was also disappointed in it just because I think season 1 is great. Season 2, great. I don't necessarily know if we need to Boba Fett back. It was a cool moment. Probably should have just been a moment. And then of course the twist ending with Luke coming back, all great. And what I wanted more than anything was to just have like a year where we didn't see Mando, and then I guess another year where where we don't see Grogu. So like 2 years where Mando and Grogu don't see each other, because that's time on us too. And then just have the entire point of Mando season 3 being Grogu training and Din just trying to find out more about his Mandalorian roots. Like I think you could do the whole Bo-Katan plot still. Just take Grogu out of the situation, and then you build up to their reunion in season 4. Instead, they reunited in fucking Book of Boba Fett, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like nothing exciting was happening in Book of Boba Fett except for the Mando storyline, and I didn't want to see the Mando storyline at that point in time. It just felt like, hey man, we just had this moment with Grogu, and already we're going back on it. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I was disappointed in that. I like season 3. I thought Ahsoka was okay. I didn't watch Rebels, so I didn't really know any of the other side characters. I've only heard of Ezra. And I kind of feel the same issue with Ahsoka that I did Mando season 3 was I feel like we could have stretched the story out a little bit longer. I feel like the witches and the bounty hunters were a good season 1 plot, and that you could have been building up to an SOS from Ezra, and then season 2 you introduced General Thrawn and Ezra comes back. Like that could have been all season 2 is getting them back. Instead it all crammed into season 1, and I just don't know if that was the best way to handle it. So yeah, I'm not really excited about the future of Star Wars. I'm excited to see Mando again, but other than that, I just feel like they're trying to do too much in too little time. For example, if I had been in charge of the Acolyte, I would have made the entire flashback portion its own season, and I would have had it be Soul. I think the mom's name is like Anasia or something. And they would have been like the central conflict, and not necessarily them as the conflict. They would have been the protagonist, where it would have been Soul is arguing with the Jedi, saying like, "Hey, I think that we can peacefully communicate with the witches," and the Jedi just being like, "Nah, man, that's not the way we do things. You know, we're gonna take these kids and we're gonna raise them because that's the way that it should be. It's the way that's right, and it's the way that's the best for the balance of the Force. You know." And then you have Tommen just be like, "Yeah, you know, that's just always the way it's been. So I think that's just the way we should do it. You know." Like, they don't really have any principles. They're doing things that's the way the Jedi do it. And you have Soul who's just like, "No, man, there's a better way. We can communicate with them. We can deal with them in a fair way that doesn't upset their lives or the balance. You know, like we can handle this in a more diplomatic way." And the other Jedi are just like, "Nah, fuck off." Then on the other hand, you have Anastasia, who's like conflicted because she wants her daughters to be happy, but at the same time, she feels like her loyalty lies to the witches. And the other witches are like, "Hey, we don't want the fucking Jedi here. Get these fuckers off our planet. Tell them to fuck off and go die." You know? So there's conflict there because Anastasia's like, "Hey, I want my daughter to go." And the witch is like, "The fuck no you don't. Tell the Jedi to fucking leave," you know? And then set up a moment where the Jedi are like, "Hey, we have to get these girls now, even if by force." And Soul is like, "No, let me try talking to them one last time," you know. And the Jedi follow Soul. The witches are adamantly against it, but Anastasia's already made up her mind. And throughout the season, we see the twins, and more importantly, we see May just kind of displaying signs that she's fucked up in the head, you know. And she's clearly getting more and more toxic, and she feels ownership over her sister. And that culminates in the fire. We still do the fire, but we give more signs that, you know, May's kind of fucking crazy. So then we have this big meeting, and during the meeting, the Jedi and the witches just are not arguing. A fight breaks out, and in the middle of the fight, Indara, I think is her name, goes to kill one of the witches. And to defend her, Anastasia turns into the smoke demon and goes to attack Indara. And out of instinct, Soul kills Anastasia. And in her dying breath, she's like, I wanted peace. I didn't want this. I wanted Osha to go with you." And then Soul was like, "Man, I fucked up." Then you could have the rest of it the same, like where Homegirl kills everyone via their mind meld or whatever the fuck. And then Soul just doesn't make it in time to save May. Like, he's not even in the picture. By the time he gets there, May's already fallen into the fire, and he is just presumed dead. He takes Osha, he raises her as his Padawan, and that's how we end season 1. You know, that's how I would have done it. And then season 2 is the entire conflict with the stranger and finding out that May's alive. But yeah, that's what I would have done. Given that whole season time to flesh out, given characters time to develop. Instead, it just felt like everyone was stupid for the sake of advancing the plot. But yeah, you know, I'm not being paid for this, so whatever. On the subject of me trying to flesh stories out in ways that may entertain only me, I'm working on something right now, which is basically just talking about the Pokemon games and how, for the most part, I've been kind of disappointed in a lot of the stories that are told with the Pokemon series. Because you have such a crazy, grand, mystical world, and then I just felt the execution's always been off. And I don't want to spoil any of it, because I'm doing a whole video on it. It's like 11 or 12 minutes long. But it's a lot of editing work, so that'll hopefully be out in the next couple days. I gotta heal up Big Man Strong. But yeah, so I'm gonna start with Gen 1 and Gen 2, and it's not necessarily me fixing the story so much as it is just me fleshing the story out. Because with Gen 2 especially, the entire Kanto section is just super bare bones. Like, there's no real plot outside of, you know, you're just beating gym leaders for no reason. So I most of what I do is there. I will claim that I'm gonna try to fix the plot of like Sword and Shield. Because that to me is like the most disappointing story outside of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Not regular Sun and Moon, just Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. That one disappointed me a lot. But those two, I would say, like, yeah, my attempt is going to be to fix them. And if you like those stories, then, you know, you can be mad at me or whatever. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, that'll be coming out pretty soon. Hopefully before the end of this week. But yeah, back to that Star Wars thing. It's just, I don't know. I feel like none of these stories have a chance to breathe. I feel like they're just pumping them out, and is it too much to ask to just go 1 year where there's 0 Star Wars media produced? Where they're just like, hey, we're spending this next year writing, we're spending this next year cooking, and then they're like, boom, Mando season 4, the craziest shit you've ever seen. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Star Wars. I just, they're doing too much, and it worries me a little bit. But man, that right wing side of the fan base it's a real cancer. It needs to get cut off some way. Like, I feel like what Disney should do is release a statement where they just go, hey, dumb fucks, and they say, hey, dumb fucks, and they explain how very specifically the prequel or the original trilogy they love so much is adamantly saying, hey, your mindset's fucking dumb. You know, just do that. Just fucking drop that statement. But yeah. I guess the last thing I'll talk about here before I wrap things up, we're not getting to the Koga battle today. That's a whole gym that I don't feel like doing right now. We just grinded today. But on to One Piece. We just wrapped up Egghead. That arc was beautiful from start to finish. Like, I remember when it started, people thought this was gonna be like a little arc. It was like, oh, maybe a couple months most, you know, and then we're off Egghead. That was a nice 2-year arc, man. So much incredible shit happened. I guess I'm gonna talk about One Piece here. I haven't watched the anime in a while, just because I was waiting for Egghead to finish up in the manga first, and then just watch a batch of episodes. I got to the first Egghead episode, and I was like, I'm gonna hold off for a while, because the way the anime can be sometimes, where it's like, I made a tweet about this the other day, where it's like, yeah, you'll get 5 minutes of an OP, then you'll get like 8 minutes of stretched out footage, an eye catch, you'll come back from the eye catch, and then you'll have 3 minutes of footage from before the eye catch, and then you'll have 5 minutes of original footage, and then or new footage, and then ending and new episode preview, you know. So I'm just kind of taking a break from the One Piece anime, and I'm gonna just binge watch a bunch of it in a couple days. But man, Egghead was amazing. I'm always conflicted on how to talk about it, because I don't want to drop spoilers, you know, on the chance that anyone who watches this cares about One Piece and isn't caught up. But the entire Kuma flashback was just amazing. Everything we learned about Joy Boy was great. The entire elders, like, just seeing them in action was crazy. Just how fucking powerful they are. Bonnie's secret powers, like, just, man, just a perfect arc. And now we're heading to Elbaf. You know how fucking insane that shit is to me. Like, I'm so hyped for One Piece. I'm so hyped for what comes next. But yeah, just man, I don't know what to say without like getting to like super hard spoilers, you know. But man, do I love One Piece. Every week I think about that meme image from that anime. I don't know what the anime is called, but it's the one with the murderer dude. And he's just like, man, One Piece was crazy good this week. That's me every week, where I'm just like, man, One Piece was crazy good this week. On the other hand, we have Chainsaw Man Part 2. I'm enjoying the current part of Chainsaw Man Part 2, but man, that shit is slow as fuck. Like, I think I marathoned all of Chainsaw Man Part 1 over the course of like 2 days. Because this was before the anime was announced. So I read it and was like, man, this shit was so good. And then part 2 came out and I was like, yeah, alright, you know, we're going to focus on your character for a while. And then it just kind of felt like nothing would happen outside of page 1 and page 15. And then we get like 2-week breaks in between. And it was just like, what are we doing here, Fujimoto? Like, it felt like he's given the bare minimum. Things picked up now. I'm really excited to see how they get out of the situation that they're currently in. I want to know if spoilers here, but if Nayuta is really dead, because that was a crazy little twist. I want to know how they get everything out of Pochita with no mouths. I think we're heading into a flashback with Asa, so that'll be cool. But I'm liking where it is, but it felt like a slog to get here. It felt like the slowest fucking work that Fujimoto's done. Like with Chainsaw Part 1, it felt like something was always happening and the plot was always progressing. With Fire Punch, it felt like the plot was just always going somewhere crazy. And if the plot ever sat for a moment, it was through some crazy outlandish shit to develop the characters, you know? And then Chainsaw Part 2 just felt like the slowest shit. And there's been some great moments, like Homegirl singing while Denji fought zombies. I like Denji and Asa's interactions in general. They're just both so fucking awkward. The way the fan base melted down during the hand job scene, classic. It's always funny to me when a scene like that happens in part 2 specifically, because there's people that I guess aren't familiar with Fujimoto's works, and then that kind of shit happens. They're like, "What the fuck is disgusting? What the fuck? We gotta cancel Fujimoto," and it's like, okay, have fun with that. But yeah, part 2 has been cool. It's just super slow. I went back to try to read the new JoJo part, and I don't know if it's the scans or like the translation, or if that's just how Araki wrote. I don't know the new JoJo's name, but the new JoJo, dude, he writes like a schizo. Like that character talks like a fucking schizo, and I'm struggling to read this. I don't know if it's the translation. I don't know if it's the scanner. But man, that shit is hard to read. I'm gonna keep pushing through because it's Araki and I trust him. But man, there have been moments in reading that first chapter alone where I just kind of had to stop and go, "What the fuck was just said?" You know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that in the next couple of days. Do I take on Koga, or do we have... I feel like we're good to take on Koga, just between these 3 behemoths alone. But I feel like I should get these good to level 35. And Hornelius needs another attack move that isn't takedown. Oh, nope. Let's see here. Shadow Ball might be the way to go. No, not able. A Shockwave. Like, just no. Aerial is just out of desperation. Giga Drain? No. Damn. I didn't talk about WWE this week. It feels like they're just kind of on filler mode until Bash in Berlin. The KO will he want he attack Cody storyline? It's alright. I think their match was gonna be good. I just don't care about the storyline. Gunther and Orton will be a cool match, but I feel like we just kind of repeated the promos. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it'll be a fine pay-per-view, but there was just something that's been crazy about it to me. I'm just kind of looking at the bloodline like, hey, when do we continue this storyline? I'm assuming that's going to be like the Survivor Series thing, but we're like 3 months away from Survivor Series, so I want to know what they're going to do to fill that time between. Are we really going to get Roman versus Solo at Bad Blood? Or are they going to try to hold that match off? I feel like they should rush it and kind of advance into Jacob Fatu versus Roman, but we'll see where this goes. With NXT, I haven't really been watching lately, and it's just I've been busy, and that's the one show that I can kind of cut back on. I don't know. I'm not sure why they took the title off Trick. I guess maybe the plan is to have him win it when the CW move happens. It just felt like Trick is the guy you want the title on when you debut on CW, or at least that should be the first big moment on CW. So we'll see what happens. Roxanne's having a great run as NXT Women's Champion. There's no way they give Joe Henry the title heading into the CW move, right? Like that'd be weird, right? I gotta get you out of here, bro. But yeah, you know, I enjoy NXT, but it's also one of the shows where if I miss it, I miss it, and it's not the biggest deal to me. But yeah, that's where I'm at with WWE. Like once SummerSlam was over, it's kind of like, all right, let's take a break and regroup, and I feel like that's what they're doing. I saw this video of the Call of Duty footage where like Rhea Ripley's playable, and someone was playing as the Crow, and they just blew Rhea Ripley's head off. That was some crazy shit to witness. Like, and it's not just that you could do that to Rhea. Like, you could do that to Rey Mysterio. You know, you could do it to Cody Rhodes. That's fucking insane to me. Like, it's got to be weird to be a person and then see yourself get put into a game like that and then watch people blow your head off. I guess the same thing could be said for Cena in Mortal Kombat. But yeah, it's just that was kind of intense to watch. We're gonna finish up this trainer battle and call it a night, because I feel like I've been going for a while. Fake out, little bitch. And back to the manga news, I think Hunter x Hunter comes back when JJK ends, and I really want to read Hunter x Hunter. I watched the anime, or not the original anime, but the second anime, what is it, 2011, I think? 2011 or 2014 anime. I watched that entire thing. You know, so I caught up through the Chimera Ant arc. Another fake out. And I loved it. I love the Chimera Ant arc especially, you know. And I want to start reading it, and I want to progress in the story, but I know that they've been on the fucking boat for the past, like, decade. And that's my issue, is that similar to Game of Thrones, I don't want to start reading this story and then not have a conclusion to it. Because Togashi is so good at creating this world and writing these characters that if I don't get a conclusion, it's going to fuck with me for the rest of my life. I'm going to get fake out again, right? Yeah. So I'm just like, do I wait until he finishes the boat arc to start reading? Do I just hop in? Because I want to be part of the fan base that gets to talk about Hunter x Hunter, where it's like, oh, let's theory crap what happens next. But I also don't want to have that sitting in my head where I'm like, wow, that was a great chapter of Hunter x Hunter. I'm going to have to wait a year for the next one. I'm not a patient man when it comes to this shit. Like, I want my answers now, you know? So I don't know if I do it or not. I don't know if I hop into the manga. Because I want to know what happens next. I want more Hunter x Hunter in my life. But just the knowledge that it's gonna be like a year between chapters is so hard to sell me on. That it's rough. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I have time to figure it out while JJK reps up. If I want to hop into Hunter x Hunter manga and just be stuck in hiatus for a while. But yeah, this seems like a good place to call it a night. Got a lot of grinding in. Got a lot of yapping out. A lot of videos coming this week. So until next time, peace.